Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Evan.
Hey, Jason Underwood.
And we hope you're enjoying the shows on the Danger Entertainment Network, now including the Bearded Ones Comedy Podcast.
Yeah, we're super thrilled to be a part of this awesome lineup, guys. And what we do here on our show is, look, we are just trying to make you guys laugh through all kinds of different avenues.
Hear me out here.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Please.
What we are is we're two geeky white dudes talking and trying to be funny.
Yeah, not try to blow in your mind here with with something brand new, but yeah.
You never heard anything like this. We talk about Star Wars. We talk about superheroes.
Talk about Marvel movies, man. Look, we're cutting some we're breaking some damn boundaries over here.
We are breaking new ground.
Yeah.
But for real, what we do is we play invented games.
Yeah, and we try to spin everything into a brand new fun game that we've made up. We filter it all through that sensibility, and
we're both improvisers, so a lot of what we talk about ends up in sort of a scene that we have a lot of fun with. We talk about our lives, pop culture, and movies. We talk about a little bit of everything. So if that's what you like, check us out, Bearded Ones Comedy Podcast on the Danger Entertainment Network.
They look like Vikings.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out and try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name is Jen, and I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, we have Brian. Hey, Brian.
Howdy.
And unfortunately, Hanno is unable to join us today, but you may be hearing a little bit from him at a later point in the evening.
Yeah, Henno will not be joining me and Jen, but here in a little while, I will be sitting down with Henno for a little bit, and like you said, that'll either be, well, now that we've said it this way, I guess it'll be after this, so I definitely won't start off, but yeah, so it'll be at some point after. Probably I'll just tack it in at the end or something, so.
So then make sure you stay through the entire episode so you can hear a few words from Henno.
Yeah. Just to preface everything, Henno, we talked last week about Henno's dad, kind of being in end of life stage, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, but it's unfortunately he lost his father the day, I believe it was either the day after or 2 days after. I can't remember which. It was pretty soon after that, so he's home with his family and everything right now, but he texted me earlier today wanting to jump on for a little bit tonight to say some stuff, or talk about it a little bit or whatever, so him and I will be doing that, like I said, later on, so it'll be kind of like getting 2 podcasts in one, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
And of course, we all send our love out to Henno and wish him the absolute best in his family.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's obviously a rough time, to go through, and it's weird for me as this has happened with him because tomorrow is the 14th anniversary of the day my dad died, so this is a rough time for me as well. So him kind of losing his dad in there, and it's even though there's a lot of time in between there, it's, little extra bonding space. And as Tony and I jokingly refer to it as, and it, he's joined the Dead Dad Club with us. So, which we never want new members of, but unfortunately it's,
Yeah.
So, and we say that jokingly, but with love, more of a, like, welcome to the Dead Dad Club, as in a, you're not alone. There's other people our circumstances may have been different, but we understand the loss and the hurt. So, it's no fun. And I'll just go first because I'm already talking about it anyway. But obviously, I've been a little last couple days because, it thinking about his situation with his dad kind of brought mine kind of a little more to the forefront, whereas the last few years, I think mine has been, the day stinks for me because I know what it is. And, like on my dad's birthday, I tend to try to, like, think of it more of a, like, celebrate him kind of day. But on the 8th, it's a little different because no matter how you do things, you still know this, the 8th of October is the day he died on. So it's always going to be kind of a dark day for me. But it is, obviously better than it used to be, but it was still, it's just still never an easy day. Oddly enough, having said that, I was thinking about this earlier today because I was reading an article about antidepressants and long-term use and whatnot. And I read a thing, there was the psychotherapist, said that what he tells his patients, and again, I'm not a doctor, and even though this guy that I read is a doctor, go talk to your own doctor before you make any decisions based on your medicine or situation. I want to make sure that is clearly and well said first. He said that he feels that when a patient is questioning whether or not they should still be on their antidepressant, that it's time to talk to your doctor about it. Because he said a lot of them are not necessarily meant for lifetime use. That essentially they're meant to give you training wheels until you kind of get yourself into a position where you feel like you don't need the training wheels anymore. And with me, I've been feeling that way for about a year now. And I'll be honest, a lot of it has to do with being on testosterone. Since I started those treatments, I feel better. And I kind of want to know what I feel like without the antidepressant. Because I really and truly think a lot of my issue for a long time there with sluggishness and being down all the time and whatever, I think it was a lot of it was just the testosterone, you know, because if you go look at symptoms of low T, those things that fall into depression also fall into low T, you know, so much like with the Wellbutrin, I was kind of like, well, I went on that because I'm low energy, but I don't know that I need that now that I've gone off of it. I'm like, yeah, I didn't need that anymore. Like, I feel, you know, fine. So it's like part of me kind of, I think I'm going to talk to my doctor about maybe seeing about going off of my antidepressant just to see where I'm at, basically. Because also it'll, you know, it may let me know, like, again, I may be at a situation like the Effexor. Remember I told you when I went off of that, where I was like, going off of it made me realize was that was not the right medicine. You know?
Yeah.
And I'll never be convinced that whatever I'm on is the right medicine, because I've heard so many stories of people where they've been on something for a long time and then end up on a different one, and all of a sudden they're just like, oh my God, it's a world of difference. And, you know, so you never know, you know, you just
can't chase the magic pill.
No, I'm definitely not doing that. You know, if you hit good, then that's enough for me. But I do want to know, because if I don't need to be, again, I'll say it, if I don't need to feel I need to be on an antidepressant, I don't want to be on one. You know, they're wicked medicines for, you know, what they kind of change and do to you. So I'd really prefer to not be on them if I don't have to be on them. So I thought I might talk with my psychiatrist, you know, and see what he says. If he advises against it, then I will take, I believe I will take his professional opinion and go, okay, this, you know, like, because this guy's seen enough cases that if he feels this is a bad idea, odds are it's probably, you know, he's not going to be telling me because he's trying to make money off the drugs. You know, I don't, you know, it's one of those things where I feel like if he tells me it's a bad idea, it's because it's a bad idea, you know? So, yeah. Because I've been wondering for a while now, because like I said, I feel internally, I feel a lot different than I did. Plus, again, I've got way better tools and coping skills, and I've dealt with some stuff that I hadn't dealt with in a while and fought with. And really and truly, I really don't feel like depression is my biggest enemy anymore. I feel like anxiety is my enemy now, or fear. You know, like I really feel like that's more of where my issues are. And you typically, I'm not one, I don't want to medicate my anxiety. You know, like I don't want to start on Xanax and stuff like that. You know, like because the way, from all the stuff I've read, essentially like you medicate depression and you therapy away anxiety. You know, like you work on techniques and whatever to work on the anxiety. So I would rather go that route if that's the case. So I really think that my next doctor's appointment, I'm going to talk to him about that and see what he says. So, because I know my general practitioner he's probably likely to be on board, because he kind of asked me once before if I felt I still needed them. So, and it was because of being on testosterone. And it's like, you know, I hadn't thought of it until like this last year. I've thought of it more and more as it's gone on, because it's like, well, all the things, if the testosterone does what it's supposed to do, you know, I don't know how I feel. So I can't full on tell if the testosterone is doing, like realistically, I can't even tell if the testosterone's doing enough. You know, because it could be I get off the antidepressant, and maybe I just need a tweak in the testosterone, and then maybe that fixes the problem. Or maybe I get off and go, okay, this is not the answer, and you know, unfortunately, then you spend a little while building it back up. But again, I'm in an environment where I've got a good support system, and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I can handle any sort of withdrawal that, you know, I go through. So, you know, and I don't take this lightly. Like I said, I'm not just going to go in there and just demand that, you know, I'm stopping, you know. I'm going to talk to him first. And like I said, I value his professional opinion. And honestly, I'll probably talk to both doctors. I'll probably talk to the general practitioner and the psychiatrist, you know. And if I've got one that says yes and one that says no, then, you know, maybe I'll take a step back and really think about it before I do anything. So, yeah. But other than that,
How's it going with? Have you gotten in to see anybody?
No, not yet. I haven't called to make an appointment yet. So, like the psychiatrist, I need to, because that's going to be a while. You know, that's going to be probably a couple months before I can even get in to see him. Since, unfortunately, the psychiatrist I see is only in the office 1 day a week. So, well, let me rephrase. He's in this office 1 day a week. If I want to travel an hour north, I can see him the rest of the week, but I'm not going to bother. Not when he's 5 minutes up the road.
Right.
And this isn't a dire situation, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll probably call tomorrow and do that. So, yeah. And I have a feeling I'm going to have to see my regular doctor anyway, because I think I'm getting pretty close to time for blood work again. So, you know, because of the various medicines I'm on, I go for blood work every 6-ish months. Because I had, in the past, I don't know if you remember, like I had high liver enzymes, so they had me get blood draw every 6 months to make sure nothing's alarming. So, and that's another reason, you know, just, you know, if I can get one more medicine off of me, I'm, you know,
right.
I would like to.
Sure. Absolutely.
Especially the heavy hitters, you know, like, but yeah, so I don't know, you know, we'll see. I'll obviously, you know, keep updates. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to know.
Yep. Trying to think if there's anything else. I really have not done much this week. I was just telling Tony this on Salty Language last night. I've really done nothing this last week. I mean, you know, you and I went out to eat, but that was before last show? No, after? Yeah,
I was on my show, so we didn't probably talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's what it was. You weren't on the last show. So, you know, we went out and hung out, which was nice. We haven't done that in a while. And stuff, but it's like I really, aside from maybe a quick trip to the store or something, I really haven't been out since then. Like I've pretty much just been home. So like when Tony texted me, you know, or not texted me, like we had talked about this, but I mean when Tony picked me up today, it was nice because I was like, you know, okay, I'm out of the house, you know, like, and then tomorrow I've got an appointment for. In fact, I may talk to them too, because I actually have to see the doctor tomorrow because I'm going for my testosterone shot. But it's every so often you actually have to see the doctor because the insurance says you have to. Even though it's pretty much the doctor's probably going to come in and do what he did last time, which is, how you feeling? And I went, good. And he goes, everything seem okay? Yep. Anything you need change? Nope. Cool. See you again later. That was basically it. You know, it's, again, I like these doctors because they're not trying to hurry me out of there. It is literally like they just boil away all the garbage. It's just like, here's exactly what I need to know. Do you have any questions? No? Cool. Well, see you later. No sense in wasting either of our time, you know. But they will answer anything I have, you know, so I may talk to them, even see what he thinks too. But odds are he'll just say, talk to your other doctors, you know.
Yeah.
What I'll ask him more so is like, do you think this could make that kind of difference up? You know, and kind of get that opinion. Just again, I mean, why not? I'm in there anyways. They're getting paid. I might as well ask them a question, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And it's not like they're not doctors, so, you know, it's, so yeah, so I'll be doing that and, you know, this week too. So it's, you know, it'd be nice to be out of the house for a few days. So, or a couple days,
good
whatever.
For you too.
Yeah, it is for so many reasons, you know, because, you know, my safe circle has shrunk over the years, and, you know, the less you go out, the more it stays that size or shrinks, you know. So how about you? How was your week?
Good.
I guess I should say, how were your weeks? Because it's been 2, yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been really good. I've been pretty busy. I ended up, let's go back. Before the week that we ended up, because it was 2 weeks ago when we had dinner,
Yeah.
That right before that, I had a spike and a crash. So, which kind of sucks, but it was a couple days before we went out. I made it through okay. We kind of even talked a little bit about this. I don't do vulnerable well. I don't ask for help because it's so tough because there's so much. If I don't understand it in my brain, how am I supposed to explain it to someone else for them to understand?
Yeah.
So here, as much as I appreciate someone wanting to help, short of just, being a person that can just kind of hold me and cuddle with me until I feel better, it's tough because talking it's not like I have a problem that we can talk through solutions for.
Yeah.
For the most part, what happens is, like, for instance, in this particular case, I got real excited about something, and with the anticipation and the excitement about it, it caused me to spike really high.
Mm-hmm.
And when I spiked really, really high, I felt amazing and everything was wonderful and I was flying high and having a good old time. Then all of a sudden, and something triggered it, and I can't even tell you what triggered it because I don't know, but something triggered it. Could have been I looked at myself funny in the mirror.
Yeah.
But, it's something as stupid and simple as that.
Yeah.
I feel fat in these pants. Boom. And I crashed.
Right.
And I crashed hard. Like tears and feeling worthless, and there is no point. What is the point?
Yeah.
In the I'm going to kill myself, there is no point. Just to clarify, just what is the point in general?
Right.
Type of process.
Like existential crisis type. What's the point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or why? What's the meaning of life? Kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just going through the same things over and over and over again, and this is always going to be the end result, and that type of a thing. And so why bother? What should change? What can't change? What does change? It just, like I said, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
all of this stuff is going on in my mind all at the same time. And a lot of negative energy, a lot of negative thoughts, and a lot of just negativity. So that lasted a night and into the morning. But I was able to get some sleep, and thankfully I'm always usually able to sleep.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of work through that. And then we ended up having dinner, which brought me back even, if not obviously a little bit higher than even, because I enjoy having dinner with you.
Yeah.
So, that kind of helped to bring me back to where I needed to be in a reasonable spot.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then that weekend, I don't think much of anything really transpired that weekend. It was a pretty chill weekend, which was good. And then the following week, last week, I should say, last week, everything was pretty normal until the weekend, because then my mom came into town. So my mom and my stepdad came to town last weekend. And so I ended up going out to dinner with my mom on Wednesday. Thursday I had free. Friday I had Christmas in October because that's what they came in for. They can't come up in November and December because it gets too cold up here because they're from Florida. So
yeah. Oddly enough, I was just talking about on Salty Language about how our weather is here, and how, like, as soon as the high for the day was going to be 60s, it was like everybody on Facebook's like, sweater weather, and it's like, settle down. Like, it's like,
I already had my first sweater boots out.
Yeah, it's like, are you not from this area? What are you doing?
Like, woohoo!
Yeah,
we're just excited for it.
That's all it is. Yeah, you're right.
We're all sweating. We're just excited.
Yeah.
So so Friday was Christmas in October. Saturday I had a baby shower that's 2.5 hours north of where I live.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and I ended up going with it's for my cousin-in-law, and so I traveled with my mother-in-law and some other cousins-in-laws and an aunt-in-law and uncle-in-law. So basically, small talk up there, small talk for 4 hours for the baby shower, and then small talk all the way home. So 9 hours of chit chat. And I'm going to caveat this with I love all these people. These are wonderful, wonderful people.
You know,
so, I mean, it's absolutely not them.
I saw a post earlier today on Facebook by a friend of mine that said that basically, like, introverts don't hate people. They just, like, hate draining conversation, basically. Like, meaning, like, small talk kind of stuff. And I was like, yes. Because that's what it is. Like, I love a lot of people, but it's like, I don't want to spend all this time because I don't want to have to have the little idle chit-chat because to me it's just draining. Because the whole time you're doing chit-chat, I have to be on, basically. Like, that's what my brain says, is it's time to be on and talk and hee, And by the end of that, you're like, I have nothing. And you're like, oh, wait, we haven't even gotten to the event yet. Like... Yeah. So, and then after the event, you've rode that high, and then it's like, oh, geez, now I have to be back on for, it's why I have a hard time doing that. So, yeah.
It was a long, long day.
Yeah.
And I caught myself multiple times with the mask on, where you kind of plaster a smile on your face, and you just kind of sit there even though you're blank. So it's like someone looked in your eyes, there was absolutely nothing there. Fake smile on your face.
Sure.
So it's kind of almost creepy.
Right.
I've been accused of having a creepy look on my face before. My loved ones are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, my brain was elsewhere.
Yeah. Where? Somewhere fun. No, I'm kidding.
This is the no one is home look.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. I do it too. I know. I'll just space out sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Some people call it, resting bee face. And on the flip side, for me, because I'm smiling, so it's not that per se, as it is resting smile, I guess.
Well,
I don't
really,
know.
like, to me, like, as silly as it'll sound, it's like, no, what this is resting me face. And that when I check out like that, that's probably my brain going into power save mode.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally trying to not shut all the way down, so my brain, it's like, oh, it's like on, you'll see those TV shows with like a spaceship or something to where, or something to where they're like, oh, you essentially go to emergency power or emergency items only kind of a thing. And that's really what it comes down to is it's, like divert all the energy to the shield, and,
And that's, it's very, very much what it is.
Yeah.
So I made it through that. And I did find some enjoyment throughout the entire event, which is good. And then Sunday, an old friend of mine that I used to work with wanted to go to the Monroe County Fairgrounds. They were having a antique fair of sorts. So I was very excited to go up there and see her, which was a lot of fun. But again, it was just a lot of social.
Yeah.
So I've just been social.
So you've been the opposite of me. Yeah.
And we all know how I do with that much social.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then today my dad wanted to have dinner, so I ended up having dinner with Dad. Then I'm podcasting tonight.
Right. So social. Yeah. It's like, I know, and that's something a lot of people don't understand is that even when it's something that you really enjoy, like I talked about this, I don't know if you remember that one week where I did like 5 podcasts that week. And I was like, by the end of the week, I was like, I'm done. Like I am completely checked out at this point. And even though I love doing them, I love talking to the people I got to talk with and all that stuff, it was still like, I only have so much energy though, and each one depletes it and good or bad, it, in the good stuff, like when you're having a good time, it kind of raises the bar back up, but the bar never raises as quickly as it depletes,
Yes.
So during that time, you might go from 50 to 60% and go, oh, hey, but then by the time you're done, you're like, oh, wow, I'm back to 40, like, so it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not really paying attention to kind of your energy level. It
Yes,
can kind
and
of
you
get away
can-
from you, and you're like, oh, geez, all of a sudden it's just done.
Yeah, the gas light comes on. It's like,
Yeah.
dang it, I only have 20 miles left.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
The car's still moving. It should be able to have gas. Nope.
We should be okay. No. But yeah, so, dinner with Dad, podcasting tonight, podcasting tomorrow. I'm supposed to have drinks with a friend before podcasting tomorrow.
Ooh, yeah.
Wednesday's my free day. Thursday I have tickets to go to a movies with a couple women from work. And
Jeez.
I think we have a free weekend.
I was going to say, just make sure you stick to whatever day you said, Friday or whatever is your free day. Just
I have Wednesday as my free day.
Oh, Wednesday.
and-
I'm sorry. Yeah. Just
Yeah, so-
that. Yeah. You're just totally unavailable Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like,
know.
unless it's an emergency, just nope. Like, and because literally by the time if you had the the cell phone
Mhm.
battery above your head by Wednesday, it'd be like blinking,
Right.
Yeah, be like, hey, you should plug me in. I'm in trouble. Yeah. So I know we joke about it, but it is amazing how you really, especially once you start paying attention to it, you really do feel yourself. Like me, I can tell when I'm hitting a point to where I'm at the 10% battery point, and because you can usually tell, because that's usually about when I check out. No matter what we're doing, like I caught myself doing it even at a rock show we went to. It was the final band. They had already done like 1 or 2 encores, and they come back out for a third one, and I'm standing there honestly kind of going, no, like
I'm ready. I'm good.
like
Thanks.
just what, go enjoy your meat platter in the back, like because that's kind of where I was at though. Like I felt myself kind of going when they came back out, because it's like I want to stay for it, but I also am like, damn, I'm so done. Like I'm just done.
Absolutely, and that.
Yeah.
So, I'm tired. I'm worn out for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I've had a really good time.
Right.
So, it's
That helps.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so tough because you don't want people to think that you're ungrateful or that you don't appreciate them or enjoy them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been getting at with that is it, like being with those people and stuff does recharge you some, but like I said, it'll recharge you at a rate of 10% every 3 hours versus the fact that you're going down 20% every hour. Like no matter what, and it has nothing to do with the people. If anything, because they're who they are, you might be able to stretch the time out. Whereas if this was somebody you didn't enjoy, your battery might deplete at 30% an hour. So.
Exactly.
But you're right. That's the hard part, is trying to make sure people understand. It's like, no, it isn't you. It literally is me. I just can't do this, especially when you feel like you're on all that time. Yeah.
With that being said, so that was been my couple weeks. I do have something interesting I wanted to talk about today. And hopefully this isn't too risque for anybody out there.
Yeah.
But
well, I guess at this point, what you do is that, the topic. What we're going to talk about is, something that's for, grown-up ears.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about exhibitionism, and specifically exhibitionism in social media. So if you need to tune out, I completely understand this may not be a topic for you. So right. I understand.
Yeah.
For those who stick with us, we are very, very happy to have you stick around.
Yeah.
So the reason I picked exhibitionism and social media is at some something I've noticed a lot more of, and I even find myself being drawn to. I know men have the same draw, but it's not as strong as it seems as it is for women. There, if you go on to social medias, specifically like Twitter and Insta and Snap, Facebook has it some, but it's not as prevalent, at least that I've seen. There could be parts of Facebook that I don't see.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but there's, you know, a variety of people in various states of undress, which is fine. There's absolutely no judgment on my part. I think the human body is beautiful, and, you know, show whatever you feel comfortable with. That's perfectly cool with me. I no issues with it.
Yeah.
Other people do. And you're going to find there's arguments on both sides of the fence for the for lack of a better word, exhibitionism. There is I was struggling because I couldn't really find an article that talks a lot about this yet, because I don't think a lot of people have really approached the subject. Because from my perspective, there's two sides to it. So on the pro side is positive self-image. You get a lot of positive comments that, you know, help to encourage you, make you feel stronger. All of those are good things, you know, plus it's fun and you get a lot of gratification from doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's where it's probably been most addressed, like online and stuff. The things I've seen is more of an argument about the validation and whatnot, you know, because most of the stuff online that talks about people and how they post and whatever is more about the, you know, the instant gratification of likes and all that kind of stuff, and how essentially, you know, they essentially become a drug, you know, for lack of a better term. You know, people get addicted to that bing on their phone or whatever it is, you know, and you know, so that makes people want to post more and more things that get them more and more likes, that, you know, whatever.
And that's the downside.
Yeah.
You know, the validation is the upside, and the validation is also kind of the downside, because it is becomes addicting, and it is chasing the dragon. You know, you almost you feel like you need to one up yourself to get the same high, the same feelings that you got from the first time when you posted maybe something just slightly, you know, showing a little skin, versus the next time you show the same type of a picture, you don't get as big of a response, so you have to go a little bit further to get the bigger response. You know, it happens. And like I said, there's absolutely no judgment here. You know, whatever you choose to do, it's all up to you. Because then there's also nudists, you know, people who just prefer to be nude and share that with the world. That, you know, hey, why not? So, with this gentleman in the an article I did find by Oliver J.R. Cooper called "Social Media: Does Social Media Encourage Exhibitionism?" It has often been said that some people require more attention than others, and this is something that can be seen in all areas of life. For example, one could think about what it's like when they were in school or in college, and they might soon see two different people are how different people are in this regard. Sorry, I'm having trouble with the English language today. On the other hand, they could think about what it's like where they work, and it may be possible for them to see how the same behaviors appear. But without even doing this, one only needs to go for a night out to see there is a difference. So, you kind of skip through here. Basically, what he ends up talking about throughout the article is how we see this not just in social media, but we also see this in real life. You know, if you go to a club, you see people competing with each other to a certain extent for attention, and capturing the attention of specific, you know, individuals, whichever individual they're interested in.
Yeah.
it's something that's part of our socialization. And so it's just a struggle for me sometimes, because I wonder from a personal level, how far do I go? Where is my comfort level? Where is my motivation?
Yeah.
What makes me want to do this, and is this something that I want as my personal choice?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's interesting too, because what your initial motivation for it is may not be what your continued driving force for it is. Because I've seen plenty of women, especially post, like sexy pictures of themselves or whatever, because they've been in situations where they were made to feel that they were not sexy in whatever various, body sizes or state of dress that they're in. And, because who doesn't like being told, even if you accept compliments awkwardly, we all still like being told that we're attractive. Like it's
right.
Still, even if you deflect it, it's still something that, whether you openly admit it or not, it's something we all still like. Who doesn't like to post a selfie and see, 100 likes on the thing or something, versus, you post a selfie and you see like none, like you're like, oh, okay. So
as good as I thought it was.
yeah, so it's, you could start for for a variety of reasons, whether it's to reclaim the power in your sexuality or self-confidence, or, or maybe you're just like, maybe I've had a couple too many drinks tonight and making some different kind of decisions, or whatever your incentive is. But after a while, it does kind of make it's similar, like we were saying. It's like I don't want to put it on the same level as drugs, even though I said that earlier. It's like, I don't mean to diminish drug use, but with this, it's kind of you put it out there and you get that taste. Like I said, if maybe your normal pictures or whatever get like 50 likes, and then you post something a little risque and all of a sudden you get like 400 likes on it, maybe you drop another one at some point, because, I feel pretty good about it, whatever. But it is interesting to me how, like I said, initially it can be like, what the heck, I'll just throw whatever. And I've seen accounts like this where the person will like nothing, and then you'll see them drop something and you're like, wow, that's not like them, whatever. And then you start noticing it a little more and a little more, and you're like, and whatever. Like I said, no judgment. It's just, it's interesting how it can go from, oh, this might be fun, to now it's a habit,
Right.
So.
And that's where I wanted to talk. The whole reason for me, the point of me bringing this up, I guess, is I wanted to mention for everyone out there is to really just kind of stop and think about what's best for you and where your motivation lies, because there's so many different places that you can be coming from. Make sure it's a positive experience for you, and it stays a positive experience for you, because there are going to be some negative people out there, and you are opening yourself up to both positive comments and negative comments, and you've got to make sure that you're in a position that you can handle that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say if you're a person who doesn't think that you can handle negative comments, you may not want to really do stuff like that, because, I've seen too many times, that there's been an opportunity or a situation where that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, be careful opening that door.
Yeah. And
it's really... Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's really one of those things that I'm trying to think of kind of where I was going with that, but also think about the ramifications, because as we know, social media is not private by any stretch.
Yeah, it is forever.
So, forever. And when you put something out there, that's pretty much, you can guarantee it's going to be forever. Even if you take it down, there's people out there that will take the picture There's people out there that will save pictures, that will use them in other areas.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Yeah.
It's scary, but it is the world that we live in.
Right.
So, it's so tough because it's such a personal decision and such a personal choice.
Yeah.
I've got pictures up of me in a bathing suit, and I've often thought, I'm like, do I need to take this down? Do I want to take this down? What if an employer sees this? Am I okay with that?
Well, and that's actually a great point, because there's so many people who don't have their social media set to private. And as a result, a prospective employer could look for those things. And really, I mean, it most of the time shouldn't have any real bearing on something, but that doesn't mean it won't, So, you have to definitely be aware of that too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I have 2 different accounts. I have a Twitter account that I use that does not have any of my private information associated with it,
right?
So that I can be a little bit more anonymous,
right? Which a lot of people do. There's a lot of people that have alts for that kind. Even if it's just on Twitter, there's a lot of people who want to write a little more, blue type jokes, and they don't want to take the chance of maybe I don't know, whatever their job is, where it could be a sensitive situation, a teacher, a doctor, or whatever it is, where, maybe it might be frowned upon. At least this way they can kind of hide around that anonymity a little bit. And there are a lot of people who do, like you were just saying, where they don't ever show their face, which also, for the record, that is something you should strongly consider no matter what you're posting. But
yeah, I mean, we're not even just talking about your body, your face. That's a great point. I mean, your face is is another thing as well.
Well, I was just meaning mainly because, if you just post, let's say a woman were to post like a cleavage shot or something like that, right? And whatever. But if they put their face in there too, then like you were saying, now somebody later on might go, oh, well, look at she, blah, 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 or, and it's a better, plus, there's less chance somebody could blackmail you with something,
That's true.
So,
I mean, that's something to think about as well.
Something I wanted to mention really quick, because I want to make sure we don't skip over this, since, we talk mental health stuff also, is if someone, like in your situation, Jen, being bipolar, if you are thinking of doing something like this, make sure you take a quick step back and make sure that you're not making a decision that might be a mania-related situation. Make sure you're in a good headspace type of a thing if you can. Because, again, as all of us, well, not all of us, I mean, you and I, but, a symptom of bipolar is, making decisions you wouldn't normally make. So, just be careful with... Huh?
And hypersexuality.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right. So be careful with those things, too. Yeah.
It's a bad combo together.
Yeah.
But, or a great combo together.
I guess, yeah, depending, yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, it is something that, I have to be very well aware of. And I really try hard before posting pictures, especially to my timeline, because there's a couple different places where you can post pictures.
Sure.
I try to be very specific in my timeline in what I post, and if I have any question whatsoever, I wait on it.
Yeah.
And I think about it before I go and post it.
Right.
There's something called, people joke about F it and send.
Yeah.
And, I do that with a lot of things. I won't do my pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say, doing that with a joke or something like that is, I mean, unless it's something like controversial or, really like dirty or something like that, is one thing. But yeah, your pictures are a whole different story. Because again, it's much harder to make those go away if, like you said, because when you post them out there, anybody could save them. They could bring them back up later, there's just all that stuff. So if you're going to put, and no matter what it is, I mean, this is just a good rule for the internet, is
is, if it's something you're unsure of, think about it for a minute or two at least before you just hit send. And, it's similar to like when you're angry, sometimes what you say or what you type and send, you might, take a step back, try to cool off for a minute, then look at it. And same with this. If you're all hot and bothered, take a step back, cool off a little bit, that way you don't maybe do something that you, strongly regret or something. I mean, again, do what you want. I mean, within the rules of whatever social media site you're doing, but, also don't get mad if something gets taken down from Instagram if it's a violation of their rules. That just bugs the heck out of me. But anyway, I see people all the time. They'll post something and it's a clear violation, and then they get all bent out of it. Oh, so-and-so. And it's like, you violated the rules. Again, it's like getting mad at a cop for giving you a speeding ticket. It's like, you broke the law. I don't care if it's 1 mile over or 100 miles over. You broke the law. Anyway, that out of the way.
Exactly. But go out there and, and do what you want to do. Be a strong, confident individual.
Yeah.
Absolutely love your bodies.
Yeah.
Absolutely love your bodies and love who you are. And just make sure that you just think a little bit about the pros and cons and what's best for you in your life.
And again, this isn't just pictures. This really is anything you're going to post to the internet. Whatever you put out there is out there. It will stay out there. Even if you think you've scrubbed it from the internet, you didn't. There's some dark little corner somewhere that there's probably somebody who's written some code that saves all the things from some site or whatever. And there's somewhere, somehow, or if nothing else, I mean, on the Twitter servers or the Instagram servers or whatever, like, stuff could still be there. But, whatever. I mean, like I said, if you, do what you want to do, have fun. We don't, no judgment there. This reminds me again, if you're looking for validation, I'll tell you something that worked really well for me was it can be super scary because you're very vulnerable doing it. But like me, I just posted just a regular, selfie of myself and asked people to post something about me that they like. And, that to me, that's the best kind of validation because, most of them were not like physical things. A lot of them, some of them were, but a lot of them weren't, and, it's a real good way to kind of, it's also a real good way to gauge your followers. It's a real good creep radar, I'll tell you that. 'Cause I've seen a couple women do it and boy, oh boy, it's like, woo, creep. So, but joking aside, it was really scary at first, but it's over, once you start seeing this and it's like, wow, it can really give you a good feel of self-worth and something you can build on too. And, physical stuff is great, but I don't know. I've always taken more pride in somebody telling me, just stuff that they like about me that isn't physical, I'd much rather hear, when I get someone that tells me that I'm, really sincere or that they don't feel that there's, an agenda with me or whatever. It's like, to me, those build my confidence way more than going, I really like your smile or eyes or, whatever. I mean, there's so many things about me you could like, but, so, but yeah, this is definitely one of those things you have to be very careful of. Again, especially if you have some, even people with depression, you have to be careful because if you put yourself out there and you're a person who has low self-confidence or depression, you really can set yourself up for, again, what if you put something out there you think is a sexy picture or whatever and nobody likes it? You have to be prepared for that. I mean, it's not likely. What?
Yeah. Or someone says something negative about it.
Yes, so just, again, really, really think it through. Make sure you think you're a person who can handle this,
it's just a lot to undertake, and I don't think people will quite think it through.
Yeah.
When they get started on that journey is all. And I just kind of wanted to make sure that we brought it up.
Yeah.
Now, there is extreme forms of this that do become mental illnesses or are considered mental illnesses.
Yeah.
If you feel that you are going down that path and you are struggling with this, and it's the way you can usually tell if it's a struggle or if it's not is if it's negatively affecting your life.
Yeah.
So if this is becoming a problem for you and is negatively affecting your life, make sure you seek help.
Yeah.
Reach out to the professionals, talk to your doctor, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to a therapist. I'm not saying that everyone out there who posts, nudes or posts, not, skin pics and stuff like that have these issues because they don't.
No,
and
some people, like you said, there's people who are like nudists or whatever. They're very confident. They just, this is who I am and what I do. But there are a lot of people. I mean, I would guess, again, not a doctor, not a blah, 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 blah. But, I would guess most of the people posting are, we're all doing it for validation. There's a reason why so many people post 15 jokes a day on Twitter that some people post 5 selfies in a day on Instagram. It's like, and again, I'm not saying they're mentally ill in any way. It's just like, you clearly just want your phone to keep ding, 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 with those likes and stuff. So, it's.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I really don't
Well, there
believe
can be, but generally there isn't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there can be.
Yeah.
And if you think there is something going on and it's becoming a problem for you, please seek help.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Like you said, if you're I don't want this to seem as light as I'm making it sound, but if you're living and dying based on the amount of likes and attention you get, like you said, that even though that may not seem negative at first, it really is. Like, other people's opinions really shouldn't have that much weight. They shouldn't have that much power over you. So, again, make sure you're not just, leaning that way. And if so, like Jen said, reach out and talk to somebody, or if nothing else, like if you catch yourself at that point, stop posting for a while, or, stop posting like that, start posting other things and see what happens, so it's kind of like when you have a group of friends and you're all getting together to drink and do things or whatever. And then one of you is like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to drink anymore. And all of a sudden you notice they're not with the group anymore. Then you start going, wait a minute, like, are we friends or are we drinking buddies? Which is, and so, yeah.
Yeah. And I've done that. I've taken time, given myself basically timeouts.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're getting out of control a little bit with this. You need to take a timeout. You're not allowed to post anything for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
To kind of get things back in perspective.
Yep.
It is very addicting and can get out of hand really quickly.
Yeah.
So just a word of caution for everybody out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm pretty good. Are you good?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to mention, I actually meant to mention this earlier and I forgot. It's kind of a weird bookend to this episode, but, this is Mental Health Month. And, I'm going to put a thing in the notes from NAMI, that talks about Mental Health Month, and their campaign this year is called Why Care. I'm going to just read this paragraph here. It says, it's an opportunity to share the importance of care in our relationships to others, in mental health treatment and services, and in support and education of millions of people, families, caregivers, and loved ones affected by mental illness. Demonstrating how and why we care brings more to awareness by showing our actions and connections to others. Care has the power to make a life-changing impact on those affected by mental health conditions. So, and then there's a bunch of resources on, on this page, where you can learn about it. You can share your story. There's partners and events. There's a link for, NAMI walks, how to fundraise and some other stuff. I know where we live, they just recently did I can't remember what it's called now. I don't think it's the NAMI walk, but it's suicide prevention and awareness walk, and I forgot how much money they said they raised. I think they raised like $50,000 or something like that for awareness and stuff just a week or two ago. So good on them for that. What was really neat / you don't know if it's good, but you don't know if it's good or really bad, essentially, is when you see like a walk for those kind of things and you see the numbers growing, because you hope it's not more victims' families. Like you're hoping it's just people who are coming out trying to learn whatever, but it's like, I hope that's not because suicide's on the rise, like it's a tough kind of thing. You don't want to, you don't want the numbers to go up because everybody's there, because of someone that's died. But no matter what, people need to talk about it, in the stigma that, because suicide's still a big taboo, and it's getting better, but the problem is the only reason it's getting better is because people keep killing themselves. So we need to, we need to work on this stuff. But again, the link's in the show notes, or if you want to just go to NAMI.org, they've got a whole bunch of stuff, about it being, excuse me, Mental Health Month. All right.
Awesome.
Jeez.
So, one last thing before we go to our final stuff. Please stay tuned and to listen to Brian and Henna will be on after the end of the show. It's probably going to be a tag on the end there. So, I just want to remind our listeners that sometimes I know it's easy to kind of shut us off at this point, but hang with us, please.
Yeah.
All right. With that, if you would like to continue the conversation, you know what to do. You can reach us at the crazylifepodcast.weebly.com is our website. crazylifepodcast@outlook.com is our email address. You can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also hear me on Shake the Sheets. It's a pop culture talk show, pop culture talk show podcast that we do. You can find that at shakethesheets.com if you want to hear more from me. And if you want to hear more from Henno, it's Henno Heiter on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And I'm Henno on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things is kind of interesting is as they're going through some of the stuff that was Henno's dad's, and he's been posting pictures of some of it. Like his dad had a huge stamp collection. He's got a bunch of like vintage kind of, got some old cameras and all this kind of stuff. There's some really neat stuff to look at that Henno's been posting on his Facebook. I don't know for sure that he's making all of those public. But if he isn't, I'm sure if you message him, he would gladly do it because, he'd probably like to share those things with people. I know he's been sharing them, but again, we're friends, so I don't know. But it's been kind of cool looking at some of the stuff that, they found so far.
It absolutely is, and some of the pictures are really, really cool.
Yeah. So, where are we at? Let's see, you got all his information. You can also listen to Henno on Moving the Needle podcast, which can be found on Twitter at MTNPod. They just dropped a new episode on, I forgot what they call it, but it's basically whether or not Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure holds up. And that was a fun listen. I listened to it last night.
Is there even a question that?
Well, I mean, it is a 30-year-old movie.
But it's Bill and Ted.
Yeah, 30-year-old movie though. Like, so.
Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, you could tell they had a good time recording that.
Absolutely.
You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast at salty_language. Geez, I just completely blanked. Or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work, so please be careful when listening. You can also find this show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod. And I lost my place in my notes. We're part of the Danger Entertainment Network, which can be found at dangerentertainment.net. And the Tangibound Network, which can be found at tangiboundnetwork.com. So please go check those out, and you'll probably find some other shows that you're interested in. There's a whole lot of shows on there, so So, yeah, probably something you'll dig. If you haven't already, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate, review, and subscribe. And also, please share the show with your friends, especially anyone that you think could get something out of it, or if the topic of an episode, specifically pertains to somebody or something like that, or may help them understand someone's situation. And Jen already gave the email address, but if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss or talk about or anything like that on here, feel free to suggest it to us on, whether it's on Twitter or through the email or whatever. And, I also forgot, we're on Facebook at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast if you'd like to come join us over there. So, and, we've said various times through the episode, if you feel you're in a position that you need some help, please reach out. There are all sorts of ways out there to find help. There's so many of them where you can stay anonymous. Please don't feel alone, and don't be afraid of, seeking help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of, it's a sign that you want to fight. Never look at it as weakness. It's a sign that you're not, that you don't want to go down for the count. So please reach out. Again, we know how tough it is. And, if you need to contact us for a little moral support, we're here for you too. Whatever. And then also reach out and, to people that you haven't talked to in a while, just check in, make sure everybody's doing, your friends are doing okay in your family, or anyone you haven't talked to in a while. Just, it's a good excuse. And, there's somebody I follow on Instagram, and she posted a thing on her stories the other day that she was having a really bad week, and like self-confidence wise, and just life seemed to be really lifing her pretty good that week. And she did a giveaway, and the person who won the giveaway sent her like such a nice thank you note and how much they appreciated her and all this other stuff. And she's like, it totally turned my week around, So there you go. Just a random person reached out to somebody else. Yeah, they won a prize, but it's still, they could have just been like, hey, cool, but they didn't. They took an extra step. And they did two things I like to advocate at the end of each of our shows, which is reach out to someone and be kind. And I read something earlier today that I really liked, which was we can disagree about everything and still be kind to one another. And that's I think that is incredibly relevant for the state of things right now.
Absolutely. And with that, go out there, have the best week you possibly can, and be kind and do something nice for someone else.
Hey everybody, this is Brian, and as promised, joined by Henno. Hi,
hey,
Henno.
For the Dead Dad Addendum.
Yeah. Woo. I mentioned earlier in the show that Tony and I have joked for years about how we're part of the Dead Dad Club. So and Tony the other day was like, it said something about like welcoming you to it, and he goes, I don't want to sound like a dick though, and I'm like, no, I was like, because I know we're saying it from a place of like we understand, not not making light of anyone's loss, So, having said that, welcome to the Dead Dad Club.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and welcome to the Dead Dad Addendum.
Yeah.
My father passed the day after we recorded. So last week we recorded on a Wednesday night, released on a Thursday.
Oh, that's right. See, my whole timeline was goofy. I was telling people Tuesday or Wednesday because we normally record Monday. I forgot we didn't record till Wednesday. That's right.
Yep. And so it was Thursday morning. My sister, my mom had come in, took over for my sister. My sister had been there all night. And sometime around 10 o'clock, there was a power outage at the nursing home.
Mm.
My mother got up to walk. She got up. She walked out to the hallway to see what was going on with the nursing station, and when she found out what it was, turned back around, went into the room, and he was gone.
Wow.
And it just couldn't have been any better.
Yeah.
It was just right.
I kind of feel like that was one of those like. Your mom was right where she was supposed to be moments.
Yeah. What was weird is Sharon, her both Sharon lost her mother. She had taken care of her mother when she was dying from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And then also her best friend Danny also died from cancer. And both times it was when Sharon walked out of the room. And so she said, it's going to happen when you walk out of the room.
Oh, wow.
And it did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, it was
It's a trip.
It was just right. It really was.
Yeah.
And so, so now I'm in California, and I've been, doing my part, which is going through the life of a man who never threw anything away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew that the stamp collection that I just, barely scratched the surface of 2 years ago was deeper, but I had no idea how much. And I had no idea that he not only collected stamps, he also collected every single piece of paperwork ever that my sister got, I got, he got. Like, it's every television he ever owned, the sales receipt for every car, even cars before I was born. It was unbelievable that these file boxes were just full of like tax returns from 1980.
Yeah.
It's baffling. However, with that came all the cool things, like a program from the play I was in when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah, I saw the picture. That was cool,
right?
Yeah.
Took a picture, put it on Facebook. The people that directed the play are my friends on Facebook. They chimed in, and then they, somebody brought in the article from a newspaper, and I was like, hey, I wrote that article. And it was such a great moment because of that. And my sister and I had so many laughs. Like, we literally found our pink slips that we both had from getting into trouble when we were in elementary school, because she started ripping on me, and I was like, hey, what's that one over there?
Nice.
Yeah, and just our great report cards, and you name it. Like, all of my, from the Boy Scouts, all of my medical requests, applications. I stopped being involved in scouting and started working at the camps.
Mm.
And so most of my stuff was for applying at the Boy Scout camps, and then letters of congratulations and or thanks for working, and because it was technically volunteer, although they would float us give us some money at the end.
Yeah.
But just stuff like that, and then the fun part was like my dad's old tools. I found all the owner's manuals for him. And one of them is this drill. He's had this electric drill. As far as I'm concerned, my entire life, he's had this electric drill. Never knew what it was. Found the manual. It's an old Black & Decker.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just fun to find that manual for this tool. And even his old alarm clock that he used to have in his office, found the owner's manual for that old alarm clock.
Wow.
And all his old cameras. And yeah, it was fun. But it's like, so this is what my sister and I just, it changed how we view our own lives and what we save.
Yeah.
And here's my dad teaching me another lesson.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that I have when I get home, I am purging like you would not believe. I am not going to put anybody else through this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So Elise and I we actually started on Friday. I got here, noonish on Friday. I kind of futzed around. She'd already been working on stuff, but it's been Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday today, 3 dump runs in a truck of nothing but papers and books.
Jeez.
3 solid days of working till your brain just goes numb.
Yeah.
Sorting and throwing stuff away. Don't do this to your kids. Sure enough, save stuff for them, but don't save your own.
Don't save everything. Yeah.
Don't save everything. It's not that important.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. It really is. So, but I needed it because I am someone that saves things, and today I was looking at terms of this is where Buddhism comes from. Nothing is permanent.
Mm.
If you're saving something, it has to do with your own ego and self-centeredness, because you ain't saving it for anybody else. Because honestly, I was pulling, every single, if being a stamp collector, if he received an envelope that had a stamp on it, not an electronic metering, if there was an actual stamp or the printed stamp on an envelope, it was saved. All of them were saved.
Yeah.
Every single one was saved. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I'm going through this, I don't care. And sure, he was saving it for someday I'll have a chance to do something with this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know a lot about some days I'll get to this.
Yeah.
And I'm knocking that stuff off from here on out.
Yeah.
Someday I'll fix this. No, I won't. If I think about it, all the cars that I had that I was going to fix up didn't happen. Why would I think that I'm suddenly going to start doing it now?
Yeah.
Some old bicycle, some old whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going into my garage when I get home and I'm just throwing stuff out, building materials, you name it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be liberating.
Yeah.
Sharon's gonna be like out there, making me dinner and buying me stuff just because she's so happy that I'm finally getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But we flowers arrived. Luckily, no food from the neighbors. A lot of phone calls. Talked to some friends. We've done the obituaries. Some of them. Mom's doing great. I've again spending so much time with my family. I've only had a couple times where I felt like today. This was an odd thing to feel weird about. We finally took apart his desk where his drafting table was.
Wow.
And it's basically my dad makeshifted everything. So it's a door that was held up on one end by a cabinet and the other end another cabinet nailed together.
I mean, it works, right?
Yeah, it works, yeah.
Yeah.
And the drafting table was on top of that.
Huh.
And this is his drafting table he's had, forever, that he made himself, and it went to the dump today.
Yeah.
There was a moment that I was like, I'm taking this home, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why am I taking this home?
Yeah. Be different if you had a need for a desk, but
yeah, so
you don't.
When everything got cleared off and I lifted up the door, it was a solid core fire door, solid wood. It weighed so much, and I got it out to the car, the truck, and I put it down, and I had this moment of remembering my dad lifting things and carrying stuff around when he was probably my age that I am now.
Yeah.
So I was born when my dad was 39.
Okay.
So he would have been 50. I would have been 11.
Yeah.
And I think about the times when I was a little kid watching him work around the house and he carried bags of concrete around.
Yeah.
And I just never thought twice about it. And as I'm carrying this door, I'm like, I'm too old for this stuff.
Yeah, right. I used to be amazed at the stuff my dad carried around too, like this, just like it was nothing. And even now I'm like, I still don't think I could do that. Like I'm 10 years younger than he probably was at that point. And yeah, I think my dad had old man strength from the time he was 35,
That was the only time I've really had a really stop and feel it kind of moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it was that. Maybe it's because it's, dad, strong, whatever.
Yeah.
I did have a moment where I woke up and I had an image of him that was part beautiful and part creepy. It was like I was in a dream and he was sitting on the stairs, but he was like a doll looking at me. Like if you made a doll out of my dad.
Yeah.
Because he had and it, like I said, it was creepy, but it was also perfect.
Yeah.
It was like just this perfect image of him. And the other one is, old photos. Obviously we've been pulling stuff out. my dad was basically scrapbooking before there was scrapbooking, but he did it with photo albums. So his experience of going and returning to Korea is in one photo album, and it is literally every document. It is every document of his enlistment, and every document of his, even the train tickets for coming back. You know, he came into San Francisco, Ellis Island, got on a train, and from train went to Philadelphia. And there's this story about my dad getting to the base and refusing to sign the visitor form to enter the base. And that eventually him and like two Japanese brides got brought down to because he wasn't a citizen. And it says on the visitor form, I am a citizen of the United States. And there's like I said, it's legendary that him and like two mail order brides ended up down at the county courthouse and were sworn in as citizens right there on the spot.
Wow.
I found the piece of paper.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, it's always been this legend. And here's this piece of paper where he literally wrote in, I am not a citizen of the United States.
Wow.
And it was a trip to see that. I quickly took a picture, sent it to my cousin, because we've both, it's part of our family history, this story.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were things where I've seen these before. I've obviously looked through these albums before, but this time I looked at things differently. Before I just looked at the pictures. Like, look at Dad with his gun.
Yeah.
Look at Dad and this. But now I was reading everything in between.
Yeah.
Really reading the story that went with it.
Right.
And that's been a wonderful experience. I think we're all doing well because he was not him for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It was like a facsimile.
Yep.
And he was ready and we were ready, and now we just get to laugh a lot and enjoy this moment and do what most people need to do, which is, go on with their lives. And I thought about, like, what's my dad's legacy? And because we were just, he can't help but bring it up and say, what's my legacy going to be? What has been my mark?
Yeah.
And my dad's legacy could be hoarder.
No. Collector Supreme.
Yes, exactly. Collector Supreme.
Yeah.
But it really is these collections that he had.
Yeah.
And they're custom. They're one of a kind because they're from his mind, his creativity. And we're not doing a service. We'll do a celebration of life probably in January now because my cousin's going to be back. And I really took to heart what you told me about it not being so much about the person that passed, but the loved ones that were left behind.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because that's what, in some ways, we've experienced it this weekend, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
And if we wait a couple of months, it'll be about him.
Yep. Yeah.
And so we'll do that. And, everything is, I'm just so grateful that how I feel on the inside is how I want it to feel.
Yeah, it's nice. And like you said, I mean, mine was a little different because, my dad,
a lot younger too,
yeah. And over the last year, I basically sat and literally watched my dad, waste away. But I get what you're saying. Like toward the end, it's like mentally my dad was still there, but you look at him physically and you're just like, and again, when you think about, like we were talking, like you think of your dad just picking stuff up and carrying it around like it's nothing. And I remember my dad just grabbing and hoisting and throwing stuff around and all this. And then, when you see that he can barely walk to the bathroom by himself and you're just like, oh man, I hope, like I don't want to lose him, but man, this just ain't him, but it got to a point where he had accepted it. He was full on like calm and, and then finally I think we were all getting there, and it was still, of course, it's still a punch in the gut when it happens because it's still an immense loss, but yeah, I'm glad I'm glad that you guys are able to be together, you know, and get this out of it, you know, because a lot of times, you know, a death will, you know, bring a family together or tear them apart, you know, because either greed seeps in and you have everybody fighting over stuff, or like this situation where you guys are getting together and do you want to go through heaps of things? Probably not. But at the same time, like you said, you're learning little things that you just weren't ready for before, you know, now you're the right size for it. So you're and I mean, in taking it my step back, when I've seen some of the stuff you've talked about, not hearing this stuff, it's like, man, it's almost like your dad, all his stuff is like he had a curated museum for himself.
It's true.
And that's what you're doing, is you're going through absorbing all the exhibits essentially as you're going through this. And that's kind of cool. You know, I did a little of that with my dad too, because my dad also was a pack rat. So, you know, there were a lot of things we went through, and he saved different stuff over time. So we're going through it, and sometimes you find a slip of paper with something like sometimes he had some that had like a little joke or something written on it that someone had given him or something, you know, and you get a laugh out of that. And, you know, and it's nice that you get to put all these kind of happy memories into a time where normally this would be a time when you'd be just, you know, sad and all this, but it's like, I don't want people to be that way after I die. I want them to celebrate what I meant to them. I don't want them to be, you know, I mean, of course it'll be an immense loss because it's me, but, you know, no, I'm kidding. you know
who I am.
Yeah, because you know who I am. But anyway, you know, I think it's kind of cool as an outsider, and I'm a little envious of that you guys get to have that, you know, because that is kind of a neat thing, even though, you wish he'd been a bit more of a minimalist, but, you know. But I'm with you after you mentioning some of this stuff, and I'm like, you know, I really should get rid of some stuff. Like, these are always reminders that maybe you got a little too much in your life, you know?
Yeah, I'm picturing somebody doing what I was doing the last 3 days, and I don't want them to have to do that.
Yeah.
That's not to say that, like, my music, that's my legacy. Somebody wants to look into that, see the stuff I wrote, goofed off on, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
The rest of it, not that important.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that nobody needs to sort through that to find what was where there might be a gem. Oh, I'll tell you one thing that happened. This blew me away. So my sister and my mom went to the dump, and I was standing in the hallway. My sister came back. I just got off the phone. I was talking to my dad's cousin for like 45 minutes. And all of a sudden, there's this shape walking in the door. First, I thought it was my buddy Brendan coming to help me work on some stuff. And then I'm like, that's not Brendan. I was kind of partially turned. And as I turn, I'm like, no, that's Mikey, who I used to play music with. And then I was like, oh my God, it's John. And he's someone I had a falling out with. The band that I was in that I got to tour with in the mid 90s, he was part of that band. And we also played music, well before that in like a total hair metal band. And we had one of those falling outs where it was personal.
Okay.
And yes, we've hung out since then. We would, we would go to the lake and jet ski and water ski and boat and camp and stuff for years afterwards, but it was never the same ever again.
Yeah.
And, we all hung out as a band right after I moved to Idaho too, but, nothing ever came of it. And here he is at my house. They'd done like 5 gigs over the course of a weekend. Sunday morning, he had a gig. He was driving back from the South Bay all the way up to Petaluma. We're talking hours of drive, and he called his wife. He said, "I'm going to be a little later because I gotta go do something." And he drove all the way in to where I live, and I'm a good half hour off the highway, or 20 minutes or so. And he came to say hello. He lost his dad to cancer when we were still playing music together. and he just came to, just like you said, I've been there, and it was also a chance to say, I'm sorry for things that happened in the past, and I hope we can hang out again.
Wow.
And
silver lining, right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it just, when he left, I just sat there and I was just staring. He looked back at me. I'm like, I'm just soaking in the moment. And he looked at me, he told me he loved me. And I'm like, yeah, I love you too.
That's awesome. Yeah.
He's a huge part of my life. Like, that was bucket list right there. Toured the United States in a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what came of it.
Yeah. That's something most people don't get to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did that. 6 weeks. Fulfilled a dream. We played at CBGB's together. We played at the Stone Pony in New Jersey. We played at famous clubs, in on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
That never, no one could take that away from us.
Yeah, right.
No matter what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been a little weird that our falling out caused us to never really talk about our experiences and share it, and to maybe have a step in the way to bring it back together was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that to me is about, you always hear this thing about, okay, what do you do with loss? Well, you make something of it.
Yep.
Well, it walked right in the door.
Yeah. Yeah, it really did. Literally walked in the door. Yep.
Yeah. Like, I turned around and I just was like, I was just shocked.
Yeah, I bet. And it's got to make you feel extra good, because this is a guy, like you said, you've had this falling out, but when he heard you lost your dad, he probably immediately was like, man, I remember what that was like. I need to go make sure my dude's okay.
Yeah.
Even with the other baggage in the way.
All the stuff. None of it mattered to
nope,
him.
Exactly. And it's amazing how these things can do that, It's, my brother and my mom had kind of been on rocky terms for a long time, but when my dad died, my brother and her just seemed to, I mean, they're still not as close as maybe they could be and stuff, but they're way closer than they used to be. And it was after my dad died that he kind of started coming around a little bit and really basically without saying I'm sorry kind of a thing. It was one of those where it's like, almost like you look at each other and just go, I know, like kind of a moment. So that's an awesome moment. I'm glad. Well, that's good too. 'Cause, I'm sure, probably, that's something you wanted resolved. I'm sure you, probably didn't like the fact that, that it happened.
I'm horrible. That goes with the whole codependent side of me and all that.
Right.
Like, I don't handle loss well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't handle separation well. To me, it's like, why should that ever have to happen?
Yeah.
If we were the best of friends, why can't we continue to be the best of friends?
Yeah.
Like, I hold on to that stuff, not the grudges.
Yeah.
I hold on to the grief. What it is, I'm always reminded of this, especially with breakups. We tend to mourn the loss of what could have been.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's why, the stuff I've gone through, it's like when people kind of, when they, well, you're throwing away, it's like, I'm not throwing away anything. Like, you had that experience. Like, I've had that. That can't be taken away from me. So it's like, I'm not throwing away anything. Like, that's already happened. Like, if I'm throwing away anything, it's looking forward. Like, to me, that's more of it. It's like you're looking at potential, and, you never know what could happen, because, a coin flips both ways, it could be good or bad, basically. So you don't know. So it's like, well, whatever happened was supposed to happen,
That's it. Yeah.
I'm glad that happened for you, though, because, it is nice when it is always nice when there's positive things you can hang your hat on, because usually with loss people will be like, why, and because it's our own. When one of my friends died, and Jen and I have talked about this on the show before, But when he died at the funeral, his uncle did the service for him. And his uncle's a priest. And his uncle basically was like, whenever someone dies, we're always like, why? Why this and that? And he goes, he's like, but, he's like, you have to, and I'm not meaning, this isn't supposed to be a sermon or anything. I just like the message of basically he was kind of like, we're being selfish. Instead of celebrating the amount of time we did get, we're mourning what we didn't get. And that was like you were saying, and I was kind of like, I'd never had anyone approach it that way to me before. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. He's right. We got what we got, and we should be thankful we at least got that, because we could have just not had that in our life too. So, it's nice where you do have something to hang your hat on instead of just being able to sit around and why. Plus, circumstances and everything, because my friend died at 21 or whatever. So of course there's a lot of future mourning there, because, but still, I just like when people are able to see through the haze kind of that comes with loss and be able to still go, you know what? There's you're still celebrating a win in what would be imaginably one of the worst times of a person's life. And you're sitting there and you're like, dude, I had this huge win for the week. Literally I had this massive win. So good.
Yeah. How great was that?
Right.
That's why I like the idea of, right. There was an amends there for me. There's been amends there for me for a long time. And it's why I believe is to always be ready for the amends.
Yeah.
Always be ready, but you don't need to force it.
Right.
If wait for the right opportunity, and when the right opportunity comes, it'll be ready. And that's why it was so great to be. I thought about it. I'd considered it. Everything was right, and I was ready for it. And that's how it's worked for me.
Yeah.
Every amends I've had, and there's still more to make.
Yeah.
And I'll have the opportunity to do it. The main thing is I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key for, like I talked about last week, was there was nothing that wasn't said. There's no guilt. There was no fear about my father's passing.
Yeah.
There's no amends to make.
Right. Yep.
It had all been done. That's that part about, there's a phrase that a friend of mine uses all the time is, clean house, trust God, help others.
Oh yeah. I've heard that before. Yeah. And it makes sense. It's,
simple.
Right.
On the most of the 12-step groups use there's a triangle. It's service, recovery. Those are the elements of it. Cleaning house is recovery.
Mm-hmm.
There's service, and there's there's fellowship.
Yeah.
And service, fellowship, recovery. If you do a little bit of those three, if you clean house, whatever your concept is, and others, people get things just in some balance.
Yeah, that's just a good policy, because it's right. Like you said, it's make amends where you can and when you're ready, and I'm kind of with you on a lot of this stuff as I get older and think more on it and stuff. You just start or stop trying to force things. And it's amazing how many things just unfold. Like no matter what it is.
Yeah, when we open ourselves to it, because I think it's, the other phrase, forgiveness is not letting someone off the hook. Forgiveness is realizing there is no hook.
Yeah.
And
right.
That forgiveness, that applies not only to the other person, but it applies to me as well.
Yeah.
The minute I quit carrying some grudge, some resentment, I forgive myself.
Yeah.
It's more than just about the other person. It's
Right.
about giving myself relief. And I think that really is applied to my whole week here.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
It's about allowing myself to feel what I need to feel, be who I need to be, and do it again with joy in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when I get a little sad, it's every little bit of sadness is going to turn into some joy.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Right.
That's because other people showed me the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful for them for showing me the way, because the old me might have reacted differently when John walked through the door. The old me might have had things that I never talked to my dad about. The old me may have had something that I never said.
Yeah.
But because I was involved in a process of recovering from a lot of bad, behavior, I have these opportunities.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's why I can't. All I can do is be an example of recovery working in my life.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. And I hope that other people get to experience what I've experienced, because it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
And I appreciate being able to come on and share it this week. What happened. So thanks everyone for hanging out and listening to the podcast keep going a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll remember to go if you go onto my Facebook page, it's Tenno Heitur. My last name is Heitur. I know it's Henno. I'll make sure to make my posts that I've done this week private, or from private to public.
Yeah.
And so you can see some of the vintage stuff
Yeah.
that my dad had. 1936 portable typewriter. It is immaculate.
Yeah. It's
1973 calculator that is in almost mint condition. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So please come by the page and check it out.
Yeah, I mentioned that when me and Jen were, I believe, doing the closing stuff or whatever. Because at first I was like, ooh, I was like, because I'm thinking about you posting those pictures, and I was like, oh wait, I don't know if he has those as public or not. Yeah. But I even mentioned on there, I'm like, I'm sure if you hit Henno up, he would be more than happy to share those, because that's some neat stuff. So yeah, definitely go check those things out. There's some really cool stuff in there, especially if you're a, I don't know what you want to call it,
Antique, vintage,
yeah,
junky,
yeah,
Antique Roadshow,
yeah, right.
It's all there.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of interesting stuff in there. And definitely an interesting life story that's been told through all that stuff. So pretty neat stuff.
Yep, definitely.
Even like I said, even if you wish he would have been a minimalist.
Why'd you have to save every envelope?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the worst part, this is the worst part about someone that's a diehard stamp collector. Everybody else that knows he's a stamp collector now sends their garbage to him.
Yeah, you're right. That is what ends up happening. You're right. Man. Yep. Good stuff, though. Oh, man. All right, well, you good here, or?
Yeah,
you got
thanks
more?
a lot. Thanks for letting me share this.
Anytime.
And, yeah, remember,
I enjoyed it, like I mentioned it generally in the show, it's like, well, I mean, it's officially the 8th now, so this is the day I lost my dad. So,
Oh, this is it?
Yeah. So actually, was it about 5 hours from now? It'll be pretty close to exactly 14 years. So yeah, it was rough day, but it's nice. Like, I like this, like, talking with you, it's like, even though we talk a little bit about some of the stuff that kind of, may hurt a little bit or whatever, but it's also sharing good stuff, and that's the best way to remember anybody anyway. So it's, the influences, the lessons you've learned, the things you remember, the good stories, those kind of things,
Yep.
and sharing their knowledge and stuff forward. So, and like I said, I think, with what you're going through with all the stuff, I think maybe all of us can learn a little something from that, like, like maybe reconsider, pare down your collection a little bit, maybe.
I got a good closer. Live like it's a scrapbook. Don't save all of them.
I like that.